everybody. Welcome back to the Lollygaggers Fantasy Football Dynasty Podcast. I am your host, Ace Garcia, along with my lovely co-host, Zhang. How are you doing today, my good man?
I'm wonderful. The team's back together. The big man's home.
Yes,
I'm excited. I have to say, even though I am perhaps not in the discussion of playoffs, when we get to break down playoff scenarios, that is like my absolute favorite thing to do on the pod. So this is one of the ones I'm most excited for. Again, even though if perhaps I am not involved in those scenarios.
There had to be one. And,
there had to be one.
Unfortunately, saying it was you this season.
We'll always have 3-0. We'll always have 3-0. My God, for 3 weeks, I thought I could fly.
Top of the world. But yeah, man, I think that obviously, unfortunately for you, it's been a bit of a rough season since the 3-0 start. But the thing I love about this league, and it's held true until the final week of the regular season. Everybody besides Zhang, is still very much alive in the playoff race. And that's all you can really hope for with the first year of a fantasy, especially a dynasty league. It's just hoping that everybody stays competitive, and it certainly has been that way. So very excited and happy to dive into it. I am back, as Zhang mentioned, completed my move over to Arizona. So yes, I am finally situated, got the PC set up, and we are ready. So let's dive right into it with the matchup minute. And our first matchup of the week was probably the best matchup of the week, in my opinion. We had KJ Lee taking on Flaming Prius. KJ Lee coming into that matchup 5-7. Yep, I take that back. KJ Lee came into that matchup 7-5. Had it backwards. And Flaming coming into that matchup 8-4. So let's go break it down a little bit here. So for Flaming side, had a couple of Bengals getting the scoring started. We all, of course, had our Thanksgiving weeks this past week. Want to wish everybody, once again, hope everybody had a wonderful time with their family. And yes, so kicking it off on Thursday for us, Jamar Chase and Chase Brown, funny enough, both also scored 18 points, both on the Bengals, both with the name Chase somewhere in there. And Jamar Chase with 7 receptions on 14 targets for 110 yards. Chase Brown, 15 carries for 78 yards. And then on top of that, hauling in all 7 of his targets for 35 yards there as well. Dak also, who played on Thursday as well, had a pretty solid game as well. 21.6 points there in that must-win matchup for the Cowboys to stay alive in the playoff race. And then going over to Sunday, KJ Lee battled back hard. Bijan leading the way for him. Bijan Robinson, the number 1 running back of the week. 23 carries for 142 yards, a rushing touchdown. Also hauled in 5 of his 7 targets for 51 yards. Trey McBride also contributing in a big way, hauling in 8 of his 9 targets for 82 yards and a score. Cortland Sutton and Brock Purdy, I should say, contributing 17 points each as well. And Flaming, of course, battled back as well. Jonathan Taylor, a little bit of a disappointing week for him. You're used to seeing him towards the top, at least getting in the end zone at least once. 21 carries for 85 yards, hauling in 3 of his 5 targets for 36 yards as well. Jason Myers showing a little bit of kicker love, 19 points on the week in that 26-0 shutout blowout of the Minnesota Vikings. If you had Seattle's defense starting, well, you definitely feasted with them as well. For KJ Lee, he didn't have Seattle's defense, but he had a pretty solid defense going. He had the Patriots defense on Monday night in that Monday Night Football matchup. 15 points allowed, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, got the recovery, and a touchdown as well. Wan'Dale Robinson over for Flaming, contributing 10.4 points of his own. And it was a insanely tight race going into Monday night. KJ Lee trailed by only about 12 points. Trailed only by about 2 or 3 points, I believe, going into it. And unfortunately, it was not enough. Wan'Dale Robinson's 10.4 ultimately lifted Flaming to the narrowest victory of the week, 132.72 points to 131.58. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the matchup?
More than anything, I'm just kicking myself for not listing it on our sheet as Jamar Chase Brown. I don't know how I missed that one, but yeah, oh my gosh, what a matchup. I mean, what a way to lead off everything here. As you said, super, super narrow victory, 1.14 points separating the two of them. I mean, that's, a few yards there. And God, is that close, especially in a tight playoff race. Flaming Prius is in a position where he has clinched a playoff spot now, and I believe actually had done so last week. So twisting the knife just a little bit extra on KJ Lee. And of course, it was the most points in a loss with that 131. Tough sledding for KJ, but he is in a pretty good position coming up next week to hopefully secure himself that spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we mentioned, the playoff race is insanely tight. These matchups playing so much as to how the playoff picture will unfold. So yeah, definitely this could, although like we mentioned, KJ Lee and Flaming are both above the playoff line even following this loss for KJ. Flaming, of course, top of the league right now. So yeah, it's definitely a brutal match for KJ, but at least he didn't get knocked out of a playoff spot because of it. Moving over into our next matchup of the week, we have Rangers Cowboys taking on Anna Kendrick. And the majority of the scoring for both of these fellows took place on Thanksgiving. For Rangers, Mahomes leading the way, albeit in a losing effort, but fantasy doesn't care about whether you win or lose. They just care about how well you do. And Mahomes played out of his mind, 23 of 34 for 261, 4 touchdowns, also adding on 3 carries for 30 yards as well for a nice 29.4 points. Travis Kelce, of course, getting involved as well with 15.5 points of his own. And George Pickens, the sort of emergent wide receiver 1, although he's technically a wide receiver 2 in Dallas, adding on 16.8 points of his own. Anna Kendrick, however, he fought back hard. Jordan Love also, again, played on Thanksgiving. Massive day for him. 25.8 points for him. 18 of 30 for 234 passing. 4 touchdowns of his own. Did have 5 carries for only 4 yards there. And Jahmyr Gibbs, although he didn't have a massive week by any means, we did want to highlight him because coming off of that 55-point monster performance last week, he really followed it up with a dud. Only 11.6 points for him. 20 carries for 68 yards, hauling in 3 of his 4 targets for 18 yards. So the match, like I said, blow for blow. Both quarterbacks on Thursday for these gentlemen played very well, and a couple of other nice key pieces in as well. On Sunday, the scoring continued for Rangers. Breece Hall adding 15.6 points of his own. Nico Collins with the big day at the office, 21.5 points for him. Had a carry for 7 yards that he also took in for a touchdown, and then of course hauling in 5 of his 10 targets for 98 yards as well. For Anna, Bo Nix, his second quarterback, contributing a bit, 17.44 points, was under what his projected was, but still got a decent amount regardless. 29 of 45 for 321, a touchdown and a pick. Devon Achane as well for the Dolphins had a pretty big day, albeit against the Saints. Most teams should have good days against the Saints, and he had 19.4 points of his own, 22 carries for 134 yards and a touchdown. Funny enough, he only got targeted once, which is hilarious because Achane usually gets most of his points from receptions. In fact, I think most of his touchdowns on the season are reception touchdowns rather than rushing touchdowns. Tua likes to kind of use him in that extensive run game of the short passing and things like that. So good to see Achane have a solid day on the ground. Rangers had his second QB go on Monday Night Football against New England, and it was a bit of a rough one for Jackson Dart. Only 13.5 points for him, 17 of 24 for 139 yards, a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and 4 carries for 20 yards, including 1 carry where he got absolutely fucking blown up on the sideline. And when they asked him about it in the post-game interview, he's like, "Yeah, I'm a football player. I get hit. That's what you do." Yeah, but you're not supposed to get hit, Dart.
Not like that.
That's the point. You're not supposed to get hit like that.
Are we sure 13.6 isn't the number of concussions he got in that game? Because, man,
it's very rapidly approaching that number. And, man, obviously you never like to say anything. You never like to wish injury upon a player. But, man, Cam Scatterboon and Jackson Dart, guys, please, we want to see you play for longer than 3 years. Please do not hurt yourselves.
Just don't lead with the head. Don't lead with the head. I don't know how to say this.
How about that? How about go out of bounds?
Out of bounds, yeah.
But either way, Dart, although he only contributed 13 points, it was enough for Rangers to pull away with the dub, 145.1 to Anna's 108.7.
Yeah, it was our biggest blowout of the week. 36.4 points separated the two of them. That Jahmyr Gibbs, boy, is that tough. I was kind of joking around with myself. I was thinking, boy, we've been trying to get the 50-point score all season, and then one of the few weeks we don't record is when we do get the 50 points, 55 points, and then you had to follow it up with 11.6. It does feel like it goes that way a lot, but that is just to not even get like 15 or 20 points is definitely disappointing, and even that probably wouldn't have salvaged, because obviously, as we mentioned, this was a pretty big blowout there, but yeah, tough 1-2 sort of week series for Jahmyr Gibbs there.
Yeah, really rough. Obviously, when you have a big week like that, you kind of expect them to come down to earth a little bit. You just don't expect them to absolutely faceplant on their way down. And unfortunately, that was the case for Jahmyr this past week.
Not the most graceful landing.
No, not at all. Not his parachute. I did want to mention as well, Rangers came into this matchup 7-5. Anna came into this matchup 6-6. So Anna with a chance to even his record up with Rangers. Unfortunately, Rangers does pull away even further into the standings. Moving over onto our next matchup, apologies, Zhang. We have my co-host Zhang taking on Bo's, Bros, and O's. Thursday night, there wasn't a whole lot going on between the two. Oh, let me actually mention the fact. Zhang was 4-8 coming into this one. Bose was also 4-8 coming into this one. So a couple of the battle of the basement dwellers in this matchup here. And it was a absolutely horrific, rough start for Zhang on Thursday night. He had one receiver going, and it was Amon-Ra St. Brown. He got targeted once, and then he got injured on the first drive, and then he never came back into the game. So that was just absolutely brutal. The terrible injury luck for Zhang continues this week. Unfortunately, to say the least. Friday, we did have our Black Friday game, the one matchup between the Eagles and the Bears. Bose having the Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts in this matchup, 17.3 points for him. The scoring for Bose would continue well into Sunday. Brock Bowers leading the way with 22.3 points, hauling all 4 of his targets in. And now you're probably thinking, only 4 targets? How did he get 22 points? Well, he caught 4 targets and 2 of them were touchdowns, including a one-handed, off-the-ground. I mean, that had to be one of the most ridiculous catches I've ever seen any player make. Just the level of difficulty of adjusting his body, throwing a hand out there, and just being able to haul that in. Brock Bowers is an absolute monster, and it's quite a shame that he's wasting away on the Raiders. I love it as a Chargers fan, but I can much more appreciate those touchdowns in a losing effort. It would have been a nightmare if he's playing like that in a win, but for fantasy, Bose is not going to complain one bit. Brock Bowers does look like the real deal. He looked like the real deal last year, had an injury early on this year that sidelined him for a bit, but he is back and better than ever. And like we mentioned, everybody but Zhang is still... Sorry, Zhang. Everybody is still alive in the playoffs. So Bose, needing a big day from his tight end. And there's a chance that Bose can sneak into that final spot there. So love to see that from him. James Cook adding on 18.7 points of his own. Jacoby Brissett, man. Who would have thought that he would be a popular waiver wire pickup? He had 20.64 points as well. 29 of 40 for 301 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did have a pick, but still a solid day nonetheless. Jags defense was 16 points of their own against the floundering Titans, who were probably the worst team in the league, only allowing 3 points, 3 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. Threes were wild that day, and only 2 fumble recoveries. Wah. They should have had 3. Overlooking to Zhang's side, he also got some help from some pretty big players. Terry McLaurin on Sunday Night Football. 22.6 points himself, 7 of 14 for 96 yards and a touchdown. Quinshon Judkins, the rookie running back from Cleveland, had 23 carries for 91 yards, a 2-point conversion, and hauled in 3 of his targets for 18 yards as well. Drake May did have a
That's right, thank you.
Let me pronounce the full name, apologies. He did have an amazing day as well on Monday night. He just continues to absolutely be balling out. trying to cement that MVP. Yeah, trying to cement that MVP case. And after this past week, I gotta say, he really took a huge step towards that. With Stafford, of course, and the Rams falling to the Panthers. May and the Patriots are on a 10-game win streak right now. They look unstoppable. And yeah, so May, just another solid performance from him. 20.5 points from him. 282 passing, 2 touchdowns, and 6 carries for 12 yards. However, it would not be enough for Zhang. Unfortunately, he does fall to Bose, 106.64 to 138.24.
Yeah, it's not often that you look at your phone in the first 5 minutes of the first game of the week and think, well, it's over. But that's pretty much what happened when I saw, Amon-Ra St. Brown was out. It obviously was completely over. I was not looking that great to begin with, and when that happens, 0 points from him, who is usually one of my top scorers, it was pretty much over. Bose made it even worse on me by having the most efficient week out here. 97.2% of his total points, so really, really nice job. And yeah, great to see guys like Brissett and, Brock Bowers just putting up really solid points for him. I've always got a soft spot for Brissett, being the former backup to touchdown Tommy there.
He was the third string, too, behind Garoppolo.
He was the third string. Yeah, there was that one season where, for, reasons we'll talk about some other time, Tom couldn't start the first 4 games of the season. And yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. No. Garoppolo came in, he got injured. Brissett came in, and then we thought he got injured, and we were like, oh my God, is Julian Edelman about to be the Patriots quarterback? There were like real Boston Talk Radio discussions of that. That's funny. Fun Zhang note, the Red Sox have lost a game more recently than the Patriots have. So, hey, at least I'm enjoying real life football, if not fantasy football right now. Great for Bose, obviously. I would not have stayed alive probably had I won this week. Again, by record, sure, but my points for are kind of in the basement. So it's nice for Bose that he has a chance for it would take a few things coming into play, but he does have kind of a chance at a fun little miracle run here. So good for him on this win, and I have now fallen to 12th place in the league, and am the first team officially eliminated from playoff contention, and we probably only need to say that like 12 or 15 more times this podcast.
Just a couple more times.
Just a couple more times.
Just gotta drive it on home. Funny enough, you mentioned the baseball analogy of the Red Sox having lost a game more recently than the Patriots. I also saw a stat the other day, or today actually, that the Dodgers have more wins in November than like 3 or 4 of the NFL teams. I think it's like the Titans, the Browns, or not the Browns. Is it the Titans? The Raiders, I think, was another one. So, yeah, it's getting late early for some of these teams here in the bottom of the league. Bose, of course, as well. I think you already mentioned this thing, but yeah, being the most efficient manager, 97.2% of his total points. That makes the wound a little less brutal. But yeah, this was not even really realizing it. This was a matchup of staying alive.
Yeah.
As the Bee Gees once said. So yeah, this was a pretty huge matchup, just in terms of playoff standings. All right, let's get to it. The next matchup of the week, we have myself taking on JMC. Funny enough here, we only had Thursday and Sunday games between us. We only had players in those 2 days of football, so I thought that was pretty cool, given the fact that there was 4 days of football.
4 days, yeah.
So, pretty nip and tuck here.
You can be one thing, you should be efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. And it started off very close on Thursday. Joe Burrow finally back. And then, of course, Herbert breaks his hand the following the same week. So that's just fuck me, right? Joe Burrow coming back and having a pretty solid game in a win. 24 of 46. Jesus, man, they did not hold back at all. Burrow, you're back out there throwing 46 times. 261 yards passing and 2 touchdowns as well for 19.24 points. David Montgomery also having a pretty okay day, 12.8 points there himself. He even attempted a pass into the end zone, funny enough. But yeah, 12.8 points there from him. Rashee Rice, however, just said, yeah, I'll take that 31 points and just push it to the side. 29.4 points himself. 1 carry for 2 yards, and then 8 receptions on 12 targets for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, albeit in a losing effort, but fantasy doesn't give a shit about that. So Rashee Rice, a massive day there for JMC. The scoring continued over onto Sunday. Josh Allen, 17.2 for him. Kyron Williams and Brenton Strange each getting about 13 points apiece for JMC. Over on my side, Herbert with 13.8, Ladd with 13.9. And unfortunately, I started the wrong Chargers in my matchup. I did fall to JMC, continuing this bit of slide that I've been on with a 3-game losing streak now. I had 106.28 to JMC's 118.06. So Zhang, why don't you tell us about some notes about this game?
Yeah, fewest points in a win for JMC, as he said, just 118.06. So
that's the first knife.
That is the first knife. Where it really starts to dig in is those damn bench blunders. And I use bench blunders very carefully. I'm currently teaching my kindergartners about blunder versus blunders, if you will. And that's because there are 2 of them. What a coincidence. It all comes back. Kimani Vidal, the Chargers running back, had 20.7 points. And Alec Pierce over in Indiana had 17.8 points. Those certainly would have been enough to account for the differential in these points. Kimani Vidal alone would have been enough had he been started correctly. So just a brutal one. I was kind of saying to Ace beforehand, it's kind of an extra kick in the nuts where, you don't want to lean too much into your favorite team. And I sort of like, I'll be like, all right, good job, Zhang, when I kind of start, like, I make the right choice and start, like, the better guy or the smarter guy over my home team's player, and then to have your home team guy be the one who actually would have won you the matchup, just makes it even worse. So, Ace, I am sorry, my friend. You have had really an entertaining season. It's been the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. I mean, 0-4 to, like, a surge to the top 3 to now a 3-game losing streak.
Roller coaster, man.
It's been quite something to watch. Yeah.
Let me off this damn.
Let me off this damn roller coaster.
Just kill me already.
JMC does clinch a playoff spot with this win, so it was certainly at least an important one for him. And man, we talked about it back when he came back. That Rashee Rice little shot in the arm in the middle of the season has been unbelievable for him. Rashee Rice has just been incredible, and you can see it in JMC's form pretty much exactly since he has come back. So it's definitely a little bit of a gamble in terms of a draft pick, but it has paid off it has paid off handsomely for JMC.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned, Rashee Rice coming back has just been a complete revelation for JMC. He is averaging a little over 20 points a game.
Insane.
He's only gone below double-digit points in one matchup, and it was against Denver, one of the toughest defenses in the league. And even in that matchup, he was 0.2 points below double-digit. Came back in Week 7 against the Raiders, 23.2. Had Week 8 against Washington, 25.5, 18.6 against Buffalo, had their bye week, came out against Denver, had that slow start, and then he is just absolutely fired off. Indy, 24.10, and then, of course, this Dallas game, his biggest of the year, shocker, 29.4 points. He was the second highest wide receiver scoring in PPR this past week. So, yeah, JMC, like you mentioned, securing a playoff spot there, and, man, he is looking absolutely dangerous with the addition of Rashee Rice now.
Yeah, just to put that into context a little bit, how crazy that is, he's only played 6 weeks, and he's the number 33 overall wide receiver. And, like, that's not crazy, but, he's only played half the season, and, he's still basically a top 30 guy. So, yeah, unbelievable. Really great work by JMC there. And, yeah, congrats on clinching a playoff spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats, JMC.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. We're poking.
You got to be unbiased here.
Yeah, you got to be unbiased. All right.
By the way, I have a chance to clinch a playoff spot next week, right?
Yeah, you do, Zhang.
Right?
Zhang is, unfortunately, like we mentioned, Zhang, the only person who's eliminated. If you look on the scoreboard, you see a little red minus next to his name. That means he has been eliminated.
Ace and I have been having a lot of fun with the Anakin meme. So, yeah, I can clinch a playoff spot next week, right? Right.
Oh, man. All right, moving on to our next matchup here. We have Al Martinet versus Oki. Al Martinet coming into this matchup 4 and 8. Oki coming into this matchup 6 and 6. So, like we said, both these guys still absolutely vying for a playoff spot here. They are both still alive. Oki was a bit of a heavy favorite coming into this matchup, predicted 144 points to Al Martinet's 128, and the scoring got kicked off with a couple of Lions on Thursday Night Football, the two highest scoring Lions that day. Jared Goff, 20.6 points with 256 passing, 2 touchdowns, and 1 run for 24 yards. I wouldn't think we'd ever see Jared Goff run like that. I said 2 Lions. Oh my God, I saw Williams there, and I just thought Jameson Williams, but sorry, Lion and a Cowboy. Javonte Williams for Oki with 17 points, even himself there. 17 carries for 59 yards and hauled in 3 targets for 21 yards and a touchdown. Al Martinet got up to a big lead on Friday night. Black Friday football, A.J. Brown, 35.2 points, a massive day for the wide receiver one in Philly, albeit in a losing effort, hauling in 10 of his 12 targets for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Warren, was he on Friday? Am I tripping? I believe Jalen Warren was on a Sunday, but either way, Jalen Warren on Sunday adding on to the scoring, 12.4 points himself there. And the Broncos' rookie running back, R.J. Harvey, who has been thrusted into that starting role with the season-ending injury to J.K. Dobbins, 21.2 points as well from him, 13 carries for 35 yards and 2 touchdowns, and hauling in 3 of his 4 targets for 27 yards as well. Our lucky, sucky Bucky Irving has returned from injury with 16.1 points for Oki. Good to see him back on the field. Obviously, was sidelined with that ankle and leg injury for, I want to say it was like 6 or 7 weeks almost. He was out for a while. So Oki, glad to get him back, and a nice push for the playoffs potentially. Devontae Adams was just another massive day. He is loving playing in LA with Matthew Stafford. 21.8 points there. 5 targets. Caught 4 of them for 58 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. T-Law having one of his best games of the year, 21.7 points from him against the Titans. And the other Rams player that Oki has, he has a ton of them, Puka also contributing 13.2 points himself. Unfortunately, although the big day from some of Oki's players, it was not enough to dethrone Al Martinet. He takes this one 133.48 to 121.58.
That's right. Jalen Warren was a Sunday matchup, as you said, little user error there, but a nice win for Al Martinet, certainly, who keeps himself alive. Had he lost, he would have been down in the basement and eliminated with me, but he has a chance to stay alive now. And Oki, who is currently sitting in a playoff spot, could have been a lot safer had he won this matchup. So it's definitely a tough one, especially when you're getting really good performances like that from Lawrence, who obviously he traded from, getting Bucky Irving back, who he also traded for. Just to get good performances from those guys and then still lose is definitely a bit painful for Oki there.
Yeah, it's even going to be a little bit more painful when you talk about the bench blender that Oki had.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, we can't forget about the bench blunders. Look, 20.6 points from Zach Ertz certainly would have been enough to make up for the difference. Oh my gosh, I was down there. Yeah, Zach Ertz with 20.6 points. He would have started at tight end over, let's see, who did he have at tight end? Mark Andrews, exactly. So that would have made up for the difference there and gotten him that win, eliminating Al Martinet, and as we said, putting Oki in pretty good position. So that one definitely hurts. Along with all the rest of the stuff we said.
Yeah, it was really rough too. Al Martinet he has certainly earned this one. Like we mentioned, the underdog coming into this one, both of his wide receivers, Zay Flowers and Justin Jefferson, combined for 3 points. And Zay only having 0.6, and he was projected 15. He is this matchup's cardio king of the week, because that was just absolutely brutal. 7 targets, only caught 2 of them for 6 yards, and then he fumbled. It was just a rough day at the office for Flowers and Justin Jefferson, who only caught 2 catches as well on 6 targets for 4 yards. Man, the Vikings, they are just in a tailspin following the departure of Sam Darnold. J.J. McCarthy doesn't seem to be working out. Carson Wentz, that experiment ended. And now you throw out Max Brosmer there, and he throws 4 picks. So it's just a really rough day at the office for any Vikings player, fantasy, or fan, to say the least.
Yeah, and Al Martinet, through all of that, still pulled out the win. So, as disappointing on Oki's side as it is, very impressive win from him.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now we get into our final matchup of the week. We have Mike Copeland taking on Sammy Yanks. This was a massive matchup between two of the top sort of ish players in this year's league. Sammy, the slight favorite coming into this one, projected 140 points. Mike was projected 137, so like we mentioned, very close matchup. Mike coming into this one 6-6. Sammy coming into this one 7-5. So Mike with a chance to even up the record. Let's see if he does it. On Thursday night, he got off to a wonderful start. CeeDee Lamb finally having that kind of breakout game we were all waiting for, hauling in 7 of his 9 targets for 112 yards and a touchdown for 24.2 points. Derrick Henry also contributing as well. Finally, I'm sure Mike is saying 17.4 points from him to only 10 carries, but he did have 60 yards rushing with a touchdown. Also hauled in 1 target for 44 yards there. Over on Sammy's side, Brandon Aubrey was the leading scorer for him on Thursday with 12 points of his own. And Lamar, man, I don't know what's going on with Lamar Jackson, man. It's just been he started off the season so great, and then obviously had that injury that sat him out for 3 weeks, the bye included in that. Comes back out against Miami, has another huge game, so you think, oh, great, Lamar's back. And it's just been downhill ever since. Had 16 points against Minnesota, but 6 against Cleveland, 7 against the Jets, and 7.5 against the Bengals. Terrible defense. This has been a rough season for Lamar and the Ravens, to say the least. So, yeah, rough showing there for Sammy. Over on Friday for our Black Friday football, Caleb Williams not having a much better game, only 10.5 points there for Mike. Saquon Barkley also just incredibly low scoring, 5.6 points from him only. Not much happening on Friday. The magic did happen on Sunday, however. We talked about it in the first matchup of this week. Here it is, the Seahawks defense, owned by who other than Mike. 32 points. I'll say that again. 32 points from the Seattle defense. We said it earlier, 4 interceptions, a shutout, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a recovery, and also a pick 6 included in that as well. Just an unbelievable day for the Seahawks defense. Chris Olave also contributing 14.7 points of his own. And then Christian McCaffrey ended up being the biggest, or the highest scorer, I should say, on Sammy's team with 17.4. Again, this isn't a math pod, but if you've just been kind of roughly adding up these points in your head, it was a bit of a blowout. Mike did stomp away with this one, 130.06 to Sammy's 95.72.
Big time. Yeah, this was kind of came in, we were looking at it as one of the primetime quote-unquote matchups. Two teams comfortably in the playoff picture and with some pretty impressive stuff. And it did not really come out that way, frankly, on either side. I mean, shout out to the Seahawks defense. Again, as you said, 32 points. They were the second highest overall scorer this week. So we had A.J. Brown, obviously, with those 35, and then in second place is a defense, which is just ridiculous. Fantasy's ridiculous. We love it. But yeah, Sammy, who is the largest underachiever of the week, 44.9 points off of his projection. And Mike was our least efficient manager of the week, 74.6% of his total points. He left close to 60 points on the bench quickly, just because some of these names and stat lines obviously really jumped out at me. I'll read him out. It's hard to call him bench blunders because he won, but hey, Bryce Young with 22.54, Devin Singletary with 19.2, and then Chuba Hubbard with 20.4, all left on Mike's bench. So I think he is definitely feeling pretty, like he dodged a bit of a bullet because, frankly, against most other people in most other weeks, and when you don't get 30 points from your defense, that leads to a pretty bad blowout and, us kind of pointing and laughing at you. But we can't do that, Mike, because you won the matchup. So
this was just a brutal one for Sammy. Like you mentioned, the lowest point total of the week. So for Sammy, no matter who he was going to play this week, it would have been a loss. You just look on his team. Obviously, I'm not going to read off everybody here, but just so many guys in single-digit points. And only 3 of his starters went above double digits, and 2 of them were at 11 each. So a really, really rough day at the office for Sammy. He is still in a playoff spot. Again, he came into this matchup with a 7-5 record, so still in a playoff spot in that 4 seed at the moment. But yeah, this one was brutal for him for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize to Sammy. Obviously due to the podcast situation because he wasn't in baseball, but you're the latest victim of the pod curse, in which I talk about how good somebody is. You'll of course remember 4 weeks ago, I titled the pod "It's Sammy's World and We're All Living in It." Since then, he lost a game, won a game, and is currently on a 2-game losing streak, and has fallen from first place into 4th place and is currently fighting for his playoff life this next week. So, Sammy, I am sorry. I promise I don't mean to do it. I did it to myself.
He's not sorry.
If it were just Sammy Bell, I wouldn't feel bad, but I'd feel bad. I mean, but
like we say, misery loves company, and Zhang loves spreading that misery. Zane, why don't you tell us a little bit about our standings?
Let's talk it over. In first place, alone at the top, we do have Flaming Prius at 9-4. He has clinched a playoff spot. Just below him, 2 more teams who have also clinched. They will be playing in the postseason. That's Rangers, Cowboys, and JMC, both at 8-5. Sammy, KJ Lee, and Mike are all sitting at 7 and 6. They are in 4th, 5th, and 6th place respectively. Okie Sooner leads the group of 6 and 7. He is our last playoff team as of right now. However, Anna Kendrick and Ace Garcia are also 6 and 7. However, they sit in 8th and 9th place, so just 1 and 2 games out of the playoffs as we speak. Bose and Al Martinet each moved up 1 spot from last week, and have a chance to make a miracle happen should they, pull off a Houdini-esque entrance into the playoffs next week. And then down, our resident basement dweller in 12th place, eliminated from the playoffs. We have Zangarang sitting at 4 and 9. It's all ogre.
It's all ogre.
It's all ogre now. It is very exciting. There is a lot to talk about in terms of playoff scenarios, which we'll get to, of course, after Team of the Week and Wasted Waivers. Before we do, though, Ace, correct me if I'm wrong, it is total points as the first tiebreaker, so total points scored?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
It is, the first tiebreaker does go to the amount of points scored. Although I believe the next tiebreaker following that are head-to-head matchups.
Okay.
So that might be something we can discuss in the offseason if we want to change that, if we want to make it head-to-heads matter a little bit more. But I did try to keep it as, as close to real NFL as possible. Obviously, the head-to-heads will play a point, like we mentioned, just how close everybody is stacked up against one another. But yeah, that might be something we can discuss.
Tougher than baseball too, where everybody plays each other 2 times, whereas here it's not as much. So yeah, to me that feels like definitely the right call. And so yeah, that total point scored is accounting for Okie being in right now and Anna Kendrick and Ace obviously being out. So we'll of course discuss that more later. But let's talk about the team of the week. We do have our quarterback Patrick Mahomes with 29.4. He was Rangers Cowboys quarterback this week. Bijan Robinson leading the charge once again in the running back room with 30.3 for KJ Lee, and RJ Harvey with 21.2 for Al Martinet was our RB2. A.J. Brown, our top overall scorer for the week with 35.2 points, was Al Martinet's top scorer, of course, as well. Al Martinet's second player on the list this week. Rashee Rice, who he got to discuss earlier with 29.4, was JMC's top scorer and our wide receiver 2 for the week. Bo's Brock Bowers with 22.3 was our tight end. Mike's CeeDee Lamb with 24.2 was our best flex player. Jordan Love made it in the super flex with his 25.8 for Anna Kendrick. Jason Myers with 19 points and little kicker love for Flaming Prius. He was the top kicker for the week, but it was not the most impressive Seattle special teams because, of course, Seattle's defense with 32 points on Mike's squad was the top scoring defense for the week. The team of the week totaled 268.8 total points, so not really sniffing that 300 that we love to chase. Bit of a lower scoring week overall, but can't complain too much.
No, not at all. And as we dive into from the team of the week, we'll dive right into the wasted waivers. Our first wasted waiver this week is a kicker. Funny enough, we have Cincinnati's kicker Evan McPherson with his best game by far on the season. 24 points there. He was 2 for 2 on his extra points, 6 for 6 on his field goal attempts, including 1 from 50 plus out, 2 of them within that 40 to 49 range as well. So yeah, massive day for Evan McPherson. Obviously that we know that offense can perform and put up massive points. However, you expect more touchdowns out of it, but with Joe Burrow back, you can definitely expect that offense to pick up a little bit more. And although Evan McPherson has proven to be a very good kicker this year, and I believe he's only missed 3 field goals on the year, so pretty reliable guy. And now with Burrow back to lead that offense, he should see a lot more volume, just for the simple fact that they will be in the red zone hopefully a lot more often. Next wasted waiver for the week is a quarterback. It was a backup quarterback, and although he did it in a losing effort, everybody came away from this matchup just looking at him like, yeah, you played your fucking heart out, man. Way to go. Marcus Mariota, the Oregon former first-round pick, balled out for Washington, like I said, in a loss to Denver. 24.3 points himself there. If anybody was able to catch that game on Sunday night, it was an absolute just insane game. I was watching, obviously hating on the Broncos, wanting them to lose, but man, it came down to a 2-point conversion in overtime. Oh man, that's all. There's not much more you can really ask for primetime football. And our biggest wasted waiver wire for this week is a Packers wide receiver, Dontavian Wicks, with 28 points. Massive day. That would have put him, let me see here. Yes, that would have put him in the flex spot for Team of the Week. CeeDee Lamb was in there with 24.2, so Dontavian Wicks would have been one of the higher scorers of the week. He was the 3rd wide receiver in scoring this week. And I would definitely say he is absolutely somebody that is worth taking a look at. Over there in Green Bay, they have a ton of wide receivers. And just, a lot of receiving threats. And Wicks is definitely one of those guys that can get deep. He is a downfield threat. And yeah, he is definitely somebody that he is very boom or bust. But when he booms, man, does he boom. So yeah, big matchup there for Dontavian. We'll see if that trend continues.
And what you hear now is me rubbing my hands together because it is time for next week's notes. We are going to break down some potential playoff scenarios. Obviously, this was our penultimate week, so we are approaching the final week. I had my countdown up. Let's see. According to this timer, we are 7 days, 2 hours, 37 minutes, and 23 seconds away from playoffs starting. So it is coming up quick. Our first matchup is JMC versus Okie Sooner. JMC, of course, sitting in 3rd place with that playoff spot clinched, does not need to worry about anything. Okie, if he wins, however, will get up to 7-7, and that number will become pretty important because up to 4 other teams could also be 7-7. And as we know, it comes down to total points scored. So I believe up to 2 of those teams could potentially get in with the same record as 2 teams that miss, if my math is right. So Okie needs a win to sort of get into that group of 7-7. He does have a pretty good points for record. I had it pulled up and I'm pulling it back up as we speak. Yeah, as of right now, he has 1,656. So he's in a pretty good position. Okie is just in terms of points scored. Our second matchup is Rangers versus Bows. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, Okie, yes. He is currently, out of the 6 and 7 teams at the moment, he is the highest scorer of that bunch. So yeah, he's definitely in position to, as long as he wins, he should be in, and as long as he scores a good amount of points, he should be good to go.
Yeah, and challengers would just be Sammy, KJ, or Mike. Of course, if any of them were to lose, he would be going up against them as well. So that's where it does get, a little bit dicey. Sammy is definitely leading the pack with 1,800 points. KJ with 1,791 just behind him. And Mike actually is below Okie Sooner in terms of total points. Of course, this all changes next week, but that is kind of where they sit as of now.
Wait, oh, you said Mike is below. Sorry.
Yes, Mike is below Okie, not in terms of standings, because of course, but in terms of those total points, that tiebreaker. Rangers versus Bose is the next one. Bose is one of those that needs kind of the miracle. He would need a win for himself and a loss from Ace, Anna, and Oki Sooner to have a chance to get in on total points scored. So it's a narrow chance for sure. But we can dream, can't we? Rangers has clinched, so he is in a comfortable spot there. So this one really comes down to, can Bose keep the miracle alive? And we shall see there. Sammy versus KJ Lee is our next matchup. This is, frankly, one of the most interesting ones to me because both teams... Right here. This is a playoff matchup. Both teams are win and in. Whoever wins this matchup is automatically into the playoffs. The loser drops to that 7-7 record that we discussed. Now, as we said, Sammy and KJ are both in a really good position in terms of total points scored. Sammy at 1,800 and KJ at 1,791. So really, both of these teams are probably going to make the playoffs. But it is fun to, kind of have a win in there. And the other one goes into that mushy middle group. Mike versus Flaming Prius is our next matchup. Matchup number 4. Prius, of course, being in, and Mike is in a win and in situation. If he wins, he's in, but just like the last two, if he loses, he drops into that 7-7 group. However, for Mike, he's actually not in a great position. He has 1,638 total points, which, as we mentioned, is below Oki. It is below Anna Kendrick as well, and is below Bose should he make his way up into the challenge group there. So definitely a little bit of a tougher situation for Mike. He really wants to win this one and not get trapped in that 7-7 group where it comes down to total points.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, 7-6. So he's got the record. He's got the lead where it matters. But yeah, this is a huge must win for Mike here.
Must win, you could say for sure. Zhang versus Anna Kendrick is our next matchup. Of course, my contribution does not matter here. But for Anna Kendrick, if he wins, he gets into that 7-7 group. So a little bit of a different feeling for Mike. He's thinking, boy, the last thing I want is to get into that 7-7 group. And is thinking, if I can just get into that 7-7 group, man, So he is certainly hoping to throw his hat into the ring and get a chance to make the playoffs off of total points scored. And our last matchup is Ace Garcia versus Al Martinet. Ace Garcia is sitting in 9th place, and Al Martinet is sitting in 8th place. This is a playoff matchup in the sense, not that if you advance, or if you win, you advance, but that if you lose, you are definitely out. For either one of these teams, a loss eliminates them from playoff contention. And a win, just like with Anna Kendrick in the matchup before, puts them in the 7-7 group. So again, throws their hat in the ring, gives them a chance to make it in off of total points scored. Go ahead.
This league is absolutely insane. I'm looking at it as well right now. Obviously, points allowed is a little bit of a misleading term. It's kind of tough. You don't really play defense in fantasy. So really the points allowed metric is just who we say is the unluckiest team. Because you
kind of like reverse BABIP, right?
Yeah. And looking at it right now, the player with the least points scored against them is JMC. He's currently in a playoff spot. Second lowest against is Rangers, also locked into a playoff spot. Third lowest allowed is myself on a 3-game losing streak. And then if you go over to the bottom of the teams that have allowed the most points this year, KJ Lee has to be the most impressive just fight for his life ever. He is on a 2-game losing streak. He was 7-4 at one point, is now 7-6, but he is the only player, he leads the league in points scored against him. He is the only player with 1,800 or more points allowed, and he is still in a playoff spot, still above 500. So yeah, KJ is just absolutely clawing and scratching. Zhang, if it makes you feel better, you are the second highest in points allowed. So that has.
Oh, I just got bad matchups, buddy. We're so back.
Hey, listen, man. You got great matchups the first 3 weeks, and unfortunately, the Earth kind of set itself right. But yeah, I think it's just super interesting to look at. You could have a terrible team like myself and still be vying for playoffs just based on the matchups that you have. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting.
It's really interesting to look at this. A negative point differential, but a winning record for KJ Lee is crazy. Yeah, boy, really interesting stuff. And it'll be, I think, really exciting. I'm looking forward to kind of late Sunday, Monday, as we start to have a sense of what it looks like. And then we can start kind of actually looking at the points and thinking, oh my God, Mike needs 25 points out of one of his receivers to make it into the playoffs. Anna can't let whoever score. Like it just, I think that has a chance to be a really fun football Sunday and Monday going forward.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, too, because this is the last week of bye weeks in the NFL. Week 14 is the final week that any team could have a bye. And I believe the teams that are on a bye this week are, yes, the Panthers, the Patriots, the Giants, and the Niners. So 3 teams that are very, much in playoff positioning in real NFL. And then you have the Giants there. But, just another layer of difficulty that's going to be applied to this week's matchups. A lot of guys will not be available. Obviously, come playoff time, you get everybody back without the bye weeks from 17 on to week 18. But yeah, this is going to be a massive, massive week for matchups. And man, I'm so excited, man. We're right here. Playoffs is upon us. I think we're all good. All right, that'll pretty much do it for us this week. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. We love you. We make this for you. And I'm so happy to be back on the mic with my good partner here. And we will see you all next week.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Playoffs!
Yes, sir.
When you come out in NFL lollygagging and, not going through the motions, that kind of happens.